Good morning, Liam. Good
Great
morning.
to see you, Angela. Broadcasting legends before me.
Well, we're all legends in this programme, darling. Now, let's have a look. Can we just stick with Ukraine at the moment? Because I'm fascinated by the fact that, as well as all of the arguments that there are over Russia providing Europe with its gas, one of the things that bothers me is the way that many of people in Russia are actually fighting a very dirty war commercially, with all the cyber attacks that are being made and companies being held to ransom. Not just companies, but the National Health Service in one instance, with utility companies in others. Russia really is playing whatever they're doing in Ukraine, they're playing a very dirty war commercially throughout the whole of Europe, aren't they?
Well, let's be clear. It wasn't so long ago. In my adult lifetime, Russia was a totalitarian dictatorship. There are quite a few bad actors there. There are undoubtedly people in Russia who have huge world-class technological capability, and they can do bad stuff if they want to in both the government and the corporate sphere, if you like, Angela, as you say. And I think what's interesting now is, 24 hours ago, it seemed as if this Russia-Ukraine tension was dialing down with troops withdrawing. Now you've got the US saying the troops aren't withdrawing. Actually, more troops are coming to the Ukrainian border. And you've got Joe Biden and Boris Johnson saying that unless there is significant de-escalation now, there will be a tough package of sanctions on Russia. There have, of course, been sanctions on Russia by both the US and the EU since 2014. And we should be in no doubt. And this is part of the negotiation. There's obviously military tension, but there's also financial and economic tension too, which will affect all of us. If there are more sanctions on Russia, the price of oil and gas will go up even more at a time when many of us are struggling to fill cars with petrol and diesel, 80 quid now to fill the average car. Many of us are looking with trepidation at these increases in household utility bills that we know are coming in April. And the Russians know that. They know they have stuff that we need. Oil, gas, grain. Russia's the world's biggest grain exporter. Potassium nitrate. What's that? That's how you make fertilizer. And Russia is a massive exporter of that. If they stop those exports to the West, we're going to have a much harder time growing our food, which will push up our food prices. So, this is remnants of the Cold War. Of course it is. There are big military tensions here, but there are very, very significant financial and economic tensions, which all of us will feel in our pockets if those tensions escalate.
Day after day, Liam, when we talk and, when I listen to your analysis and we think, well, things can't be that bad and there may be a way through this and whatever. But yet again, even here, sanctions will be counterproductive for us all there. So by and large, Liam, this is shaping up to be a really quite a depressing year. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel that you see?
Well, economists are known as dismal scientists, but believe it or not, I am quite an upbeat person in general. And there is a lot of really good stuff happening in the UK economy. There's a lot of bounce back in manufacturing, the service sector, hospitality. Unemployment's still at an almost record low of just over 4%. And many businesses are expanding after this pandemic, employing people and doing pretty well. We just grew last year, Eamon, by over 7% our GDP, the overall size of our economy. That's a post-war record, partly because of the bounce back, but we still achieved that. We're still on to grow this year, 2022, faster than almost any other economy in the G7 group of advanced industrialized nations. We're still attracting a lot of inward investment from the rest of the world. So there is quite a lot of good stuff happening in the UK economy. But I think what's a really big theme of our time, of our age almost, and it will hang around for at least the next few years, is this cost of living squeeze. Here on GB News, on my On the Money show at 1 p.m, across all our outlets, we talk about trying to beat the squeeze constantly, because lots of our viewers contact us about that, asking for tips, asking for ways that they can tackle the falling cost living standards, given that inflation's going up faster than wages for so many people. And I think when you look at this Russia-Ukraine crisis. I was a Moscow correspondent in the 90s. I spent a lot of time in Russia and Ukraine. It does seem like a country a long way away on the fringes of Europe. But be in no doubt, Russia is a major global economy, and our economy is seriously intertwined with Russia. Just one example. The big oil company in Russia, Rosneft, it's the biggest oil company. There are US sanctions on Rosneft. Well, guess what? A fifth of Rosneft is owned by BP. So many of our pension funds are invested in a massive oil company on which there are Western sanctions against Russia. So this is a globalized age. We are much, much more intertwined economically with the former Eastern Bloc, particularly the former Soviet Union, than we were when we were all starting out as journalists during the height of the Cold War. And that's why there is this tension about whether or not militarily we put more sanctions on Russia, or economically we think, is that really going to do us any good?